So remember that the enemy, he is the ruler of this world. The Bible says, do not love the world or the things in the world. If anybody loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world is not of the Father. And so the enemy, he owns this world and everything in it. And so I want to show you that I was very heavy into watching horror movies. And it is part of my testimony when I was in the world and I was watching horror movies, like crazy, really. And this is 15 films, horror movies that I used to watch, because I was a fan of watching The Ghost of Barbara Steele. She was an actress who did horror films in the during the time when Italian horror films were famous. I used to watch a lot of Barbara Steele films, but I ended up watching so many other kinds of horror films, especially with Vincent Price. And as you know, what's the name? Christopher Lee also was an actor in doing a lot of horror films, and Vincent Price did a lot of horror films for the author Edgar Allan Poe. He did a lot of his films. And this is it's not really precisely a horror film, but let me see. Even anime films that were quite like part of the horror genre, but they have a lot of idolatry in these anime cartoons. Even in Spanish, I mean, there's no exception. Aquí espantan. Even in Spanish. Okay. Because I ended up watching so many horror films that American horror films weren't enough. I had to also venture out and look for foreign horror films to watch. Spanish horror films, Italian horror films, Japanese horror films, Korean horror films, just horror films from any place, really. Thailand especially. I used to watch a lot of horror films from Thailand. This one's another one with Sandra Bullock and Nicole Kidman, which they themselves are actresses who have been in really not unpleasant films. This was about witches and witchcraft and how trying to portray witchcraft to be something positive, how witches should be accepted in society, and it's just a bunch of lies, really. Witchcraft itself is never and should never be portrayed as something positive because it's not positive. This one's Bela Lugosi. He's known as being the vampire back in the 60s, and he also did other films, but he always portrayed that same image, and he did most of his films were in the horror genre. Okay. And he also worked with Carl, who did Frankenstein. What was his name? Boris Karloff, I'm sorry, who did Frankenstein. And then we have here the Phantom of the Opera. And we also have other Frankenstein films that were made, not just by Boris Karloff. What else do I have here? Night of Horror, Do Not Watch Alone. And then, this was also filled with Barbara Steele movies, The She-Beast, and The Terror with Jack Nicholson, and Christopher Lee movies as well. And this is all demonic films. Not really good to watch. Not good for your spirit. Definitely getting demons from watching these movies. You have here actress Boris Karloff and who also did movies here, and it's not good to admire the wrong people. So then you have The Killer Clowns. That was another one. The Killer Clowns. Then you have what's her name, Natalie Portman, who she also doesn't do great films as well. her films are also dark. She did Black Swan. This one is a very demonic film as well. Okay, very twisted film. And I'm gonna throw these out. I'm throwing everything out, everything. And then we have here Dark Shadows. Dark Shadows. And the enemy can make, accessible to movies very, very easily. You can get movies for $1 at the Goodwill or Salvation Army. So it's not like you have to pay so much money for it. It's just a trap. And I also, because I was watching Barbara Steele, so she happened to be in this 90s television program of the Dark Shadows, which was about a vampire. These are all demonic films, and they're going in the garbage. So all to the glory of God, to take me out of being enslaved to horror films, to take me out of being enslaved by the works of the enemy, because this is works of darkness. Watching horror films is works of darkness. It is absolutely works of darkness. This is not of God. Look at these faces, demonic faces. This is not of God. And we know better. We can't make excuses. I've been watching horror films for years. And, this is something that God has put in my heart to get rid of, and get rid of them too from your house. Even if you don't watch them anymore, get rid of them from your house. These things, they have spirits. They are cursed objects. Some people might not think so, but, it's just that these things are not good to have in your house. So please get rid of them. I'm just telling you that as a recommendation. You don't have to take my advice, but this was in my heart to expose these dark films, because these are dark works, and I'm exposing this. I mean, this is part of the darkness that I was in. So thanks for watching.